Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on the life divine with our beloved Ranga. We are now on page 506, and we are in the chapter, The Knowledge and the Ignorance. Will you give us a summary?
Yeah. Srimdo is very consistent. He goes on, one by one. But if we had to write the same thing, we would always he does give a summary in the first paragraph of the previous things what he has said. And in the last paragraph, he also mentions, not very clearly, vaguely, or he just gives a hint of what he is going to discuss. The last para and the first para he usually summarizes. But his thinking is of a very interesting type, not like ours. What we would say is, I am going to discuss this, 1, 2, 3. He doesn't do that. He just goes on discussing straight away. It's for you to make out what he is saying, and then you come to. So sometimes, in fact, the other day somebody asked me a question. They said, Srirendra, in the synthesis is saying, the second characteristic is this. So that gentleman asked me, he is translating into Tamil, and he told me, but where is the first? I couldn't find the first. So I had to tell him, scroll back to the previous paragraph, and there you will see. Sometimes you have to scroll not to the previous paragraph, but to chapter.
It's also true with Savitri. You might have 8 or 10 lines in a row.
And then you will again refer to something again.
And then you have to go to the beginning.
So anyway, the previous chapter was, he is trying to find out what is the cause of the illusion of the world. When you are at a normal level, remember also one thing is very interesting, and you will benefit a lot if you remember this. There are basically 3 levels of consciousness. Basically. Even though 3 levels, there are divisions. I will point out the divisions. The first level is our own physical world, consisting of matter, life and mind. So long as you are in this world and you are seeing the physical objects and thinking they are real, you are in ignorance. That's the definition of ignorance. Ignorance in the spiritual sense, not in the normal sense. Oh, I am ignorant about rocketry. No, not that ignorance. Ignorance is not realizing the true reality. This is a reality at a lower level. It's not unreal, but it is lower level. There are grades of reality. Okay. For instance, the shadow, the rainbow, these are all part real and part unreal. They have got a cause. Conditional realities are part realities. So, he has discussed there the cosmic illusion, and he, very briefly I will just point out, when you are perceiving something, there are 3 elements come in. The perceiver, that which is being perceived, and the process of perception that connects the two. These are the 3. So, in that paragraph, in the chapter, he goes on saying which one is he puts hypothesis. Let us suppose that the physical world is really true. It is true. What are the consequences? So, if this is true, but I am seeing it as illusion, so the fault may be somewhere in the perception or the perceiver. So, which one? One by one he takes up. Then again, now he comes back and says, let us now suppose that the world is unreal. Okay? Then who is seeing the unreality? So, again, is it a process of Maya, or is it responsible? Maya is responsible, or the perceptor is responsible? Very complicated. So, I told you I cut short the whole thing, and he comes to the conclusion that the world is real, the perceiver is real. There is a problem with it's not a problem, there is and you have to examine what that the perception is. And perception means you get knowledge. So, let us see, and this is the chapter, knowledge and ignorance. When are you in ignorance and when are you in knowledge? Okay. So, remember these 3 levels. It is not very clearly given, but when you read other things, all you get an idea that there are basically 3 levels. Okay. So, level 1, the physical world. Level 1, the physical world, consisting of matter, life and mind. Level 2 is the spiritual planes of consciousness. Sri Aurobindo also calls them the ideal planes of consciousness. So when you make your mind silent or it falls silent or somehow you manage to go above the mind, Sri Aurobindo's division, there are 4 levels there. Higher mind, illumined mind, intuitive mind and overmind. This is level 2. You are seeing the truth, you are seeing the unity of things, you are seeing the oneness of things. Then you realize that the physical world is not as real as you thought it to be, but the reality is the Satchidananda, the supreme reality. That is true and permanent. Okay? But there is a problem with level 2. The problem is that you are seeing consciousness and force, Purusha and Prakriti, as separate. They are both there, but they are separate. So when you go to the 3rd level, there is no more separation. Consciousness and force become one. The world is real, everything is real, but there is a gradation of reality. This is what he comes to the conclusion. So now he is examining the knowledge and the ignorance. When are we in ignorance? When are we in knowledge? Okay? So, and he has defined also, and here also again he will define, but we can define in a, his intellect is supramental. Our intellect is only logic here. So to make it slightly more accessible to us, we can say, ignorance is when you are identified with your body, mind, life, you are thinking the physical world is real, and you are seeing the many and taking it as real. You don't see the oneness of things. You see water, ice and water vapor as separate things. Okay? But in level 2, you are seeing this oneness you are seeing, but these two are separate. Consciousness is clearly separate and force is clearly separate. Or to put it in other ways, the world is real, but it is separate from the supreme reality. Brahman is one and the world is another. They are not the same. You go to the 3rd level, the Purushottama level or the supramental level, whatever you want, that unifies everything. Now you see the total reality and you see that the world is real, but it's a relative reality. It's a reality in time and space. That is a reality timeless and spaceless, permanent. But here the basic world is real, but the objects in the world are not real. They are permanent, transient, sorry. The world is permanent, but the forms in the world are going on changing. Also another characteristic, that is timeless, spaceless and absolutely static. There doesn't need to be any change because it's perfect. But here the physical world is evolving and there is constant movement here. Okay? So, now we come and read the next paragraph that we are going to read. I'll read the whole paragraph first. It is true that the first origin of the ignorance is beyond us as mental beings, because our intelligence lives and moves within the ignorance itself and does not reach up to the point or ascend onto the plane where that separation took place, of which the individual mind is the result. But this is true of the first origin and fundamental truth of all things, and on this principle we should have to rest satisfied with a general agnosticism. Man has to work in the ignorance, to learn under its conditions, to know it up to its farthest point, so that he may arrive at its borders where it meets the truth, TCAP, truth, touch its final lid of luminous obscuration. Luminous obscuration. This is Sri Aurobindo at his best. Constantly oxymorons, opposites. Okay. And develop those faculties or the faculties which enable him to overstep that powerful but really unsubstantial barrier. Unsubstantial barrier, again another oxymoron. Okay. So now we look at what he is saying carefully. he is saying, it is true that the first origin of the ignorance. What does it mean? Where is knowledge and ignorance separating itself? At the highest level it is one. But at which level, which point downwards in the involution is it becoming separate? We also know the law of one becoming the many. So, at what point does the one start becoming the many? Is there a point where one and many both are visible? And if you come a little more down, the gap goes on increasing more and more. That is what he is discussing. Okay. It is very interesting. I am just making a slight variation. It is like at the highest level, you have a perfect picture. The whole picture is there very clearly. One step below, you want to make this picture into a jigsaw puzzle. So, you draw the lines. Okay? I have not cut yet. So, I am seeing the whole picture, but I am seeing that it is about to break up. So, you are seeing both oneness as well as multiplicity. You come one step down, now I have separated the jigsaw puzzle lines, I have moved it by 1 millimeter each. Each line has become 1 millimeter. It has increased and I am still seeing the whole picture if I stay sufficiently back. I move it now 1 centimeter. Some people will be able to see the whole picture, the oneness, and some people will be able to see the beginning of the multiplicity. Move it 10 centimeters, 1 meter, gone, the picture is gone, oneness is gone. You now start seeing the multiplicity. That line is the overmind. Supermind, totally you see everything. Overmind is the one that starts to divide. You come down to the lower planes, higher mind, element mind, intuitive mind, Purusha and Prakriti, consciousness and force are separate. Oneness and multiplicity are separate, no more. Okay? So, now he is saying here, it is true that the first origin of the ignorance is beyond us. The first origin of the ignorance, where is the ignorance starting? That is the first origin of the ignorance, is beyond us. We do not see it. When we are at this level, we are speaking of overmind very glibly, but it is actually, that is what we do not see. We do not even see the higher mind. Okay? So, because our intelligence lives and moves within the ignorance itself. What is the ignorance? I told you level 1, matter, life, mind. When you are there in this matter, life, mind, you do not see anything above. You do not need the origin of ignorance, you do not know. Okay? And moves within the ignorance itself and does not reach up to the point or ascend onto the plane where that separation took place. The separation, as I told you, takes place in the overmind level. Okay? Even in the overmind, it is interesting, same way when it is discussing. And if he did not know the Upanishads and the Gitas and all that and what they have already spoken, he would have to explore. Even in the overmind level when he is there, he is seeing the difference. Both are existing. Purusha and consciousness, they are both existing, but they are separate. There is a total harmony between them. Okay? So, that is the point. So, he is saying that when we live here, we do not see the origin of ignorance. Does not reach up to the point or ascend onto the plane where that separation took place, of which the individual mind is a result. The breaking up ends in the individual mind. That is the reason why our mind is a very powerful tool, but it is analytical. It is a result of separation. That is the reason why when we are reasoning, we always try to break up, analyze. We do not synthesize. Synthetic thinking comes at a higher level. So, this is the mind, our mind is a result of the breaking up.
Empirical.
Yeah, it experiments, but it is seeing, many things and it tries to understand, but it is analytical. Its nature is to break up things. Okay? But this is true of the first origin and fundamental truth of all things. And on this principle, we should have to rest satisfied with a general agnosticism. So, if you are living permanently in the physical world, agnosticism is the 100% result. There is no knowledge possible. Real knowledge is not possible. You may be able to cure diseases, you may be able to go up to Mars, you may go up to Venus, you may go up to anywhere you want, but you are still in ignorance, spiritually speaking. Okay? So,
So going out of the body,
pardon?
going out of the body, out of body experience, does not change ignorance?
It does change. Because
does.
now, when you go out of your body, where are you? Are you in the ignorance?
No.
So, you are in the second level. When you go out of your body, you are not in the body. And that's by definition the first level. You are out of body, mind, life. So, that's, you see the reality. But the law of gravitation, whether it be physical or whether it be spiritual, will pull you down. You can only get an experience. You won't get a realization first time. The old law doesn't want to give up its hold on you. So, it pulls you down. That's the reason also why the past, individually also, your past is always pulling you backwards. That's the reason. Okay, so, but this is true of the first origin and fundamental truth of things. And on this principle, we should have to rest satisfied with a general agnosticism so long as you are permanently stationed in the level 1, in ignorance. Okay? We should have to rest satisfied with a general agnosticism. Agnosticism, the word can be interpreted in many ways. Agnosticism means not knowledgeable, okay, or doubting the knowledge. Doubting. That also is he is an agnostic, means he doesn't believe. Okay, or I would like to believe, but I don't know the truth. There's so many, all agnosticism. Man has to work in the ignorance, to learn under its conditions, to know it up to its farthest point, so that he may arrive at its borders, where it meets the truth, touch the final lid of luminous obscuration. So, final lid is a hint. That's a lid, is a golden lid that covers the face of the truth. It is there even in the Isha Upanishad. Truth is hidden by the golden lid. It's a lid, and it is not opaque, it is not transparent, it is translucent. It allows the light to come through, but it is still a barrier. That's why luminous obscuration. It's a barrier, very unsubstantial barrier. If you are in overmind consciousness, you can look up, but you can't go there yet. You have to still struggle to go there. That's a luminous obscuration, and the final lid. Okay? What is the phrase in the Isha Upanishad? Satyasya mukham, satyasya apihitam mukham. Okay? I don't remember the exact word, but that is the word. The face of truth is hidden by the luminous light. Okay? So, it meets the truth, TCAP. Whenever Srirendra uses the word TCAP, truth consciousness, he is meaning the supramental. Whenever he uses the word Gnostic, he means the supramental. Okay? Touch its final lid of luminous obscuration and develop those faculties which enable him to overstep that powerful but really unsubstantial barrier. So, here's another hint at you. It's a barrier, but it's not really a barrier, it's unsubstantial. It's very flimsy. So, Srirendra says that overmind and supermind are very closely linked, but there is that lid. That is that lid which Mother broke in 1956. In our time, there it is timeless. In our time, 29th February 1956, the golden lid was broken. And there also very interesting detail is there. Mother says, I knew and willed at the same time. Purusha is the willing, and knowledge is Purusha is the knowledge. I knew and I willed. So, consciousness and force. So, he says, I knew and willed at the same time, and took that hammer and smashed the door. So now the supermind is down here. Earlier it was not down here. Now there is a possibility of its sprouting. Not possibility, it is sure to sprout, provided the conditions are ready. Again, this also is very interesting. Many people ask, oh, the supermind has come down. Where? The same nonsense is going on in Russia and what is that other country? And in the Gaza Strip, what's going on? Where the hell is the supermind? So the answer is this. It is taking its time and waiting for the conditions to be ready, then it will sprout. And what is meant by conditions to be ready? Oh, sorry. If you take a seed, it's got the potential to make a tree. You put it on the table, potential is there, but it will never become a tree. So earlier it was like that. It would never become a tree. Never the supermind would come down. But now the supermind has come down. Now that seed is not resting on the table, but it's on the ground. But will that also give the tree? No. You have to water it. You have to give it light. You have to give it nutrients. So the supermind is waiting for conditions in the physical world to be ready. Then it will sprout. Okay? Conditions in the physical world to be ready is very common for everything. Leonardo da Vinci thought of airplane 400 years earlier. Did he manage it? No. It took Orwell brothers and the Wright brothers to do that in 1910 or something like that. It took so long, 400 years. So, Mother here also says, it may be 300 years, it may be 1,000 years, we don't know. We don't know. Because another thing, why don't know? You have seen the supermind, why you don't know? The reason is that the supermind is infinite. It can go in any direction. So you don't know when it is, you are not in infinite consciousness. Even if you are in infinite consciousness, there are levels of infinities. That's another thing. Okay, so.
Now, when Mother says nothing depends on man.
Yeah. Man is in the ignorance.
Yes.
He can't even cure himself.
Yes.
What will he do with the supermind? It doesn't depend on the supermind. And Srimad uses a very interesting word he uses. He says, if the world spirit has decided that it is time, it will happen. I think in German there is a word, na? Zeitgeist or something like that.
Zeitgeist.
Yes.
Zeitgeist.
Okay, whatever. The time spirit.
Yeah.
So that has to agree and then it will happen.
But they came down into all of this ignorance.
Yes.
Mother and Sri Aurobindo.
Yes.
Because the time spirit
Yes.
allowed that.
Allowed that, and it was necessary. Because general public is living in the ignorance. How will they cure the ignorance? So somebody who has got potential of knowledge or full knowledge has to come down here, analyze the problem, see what the problem is, and give one drop of light. Somebody else comes in, another drop of light, another drop of light. Then evolution takes place. So this is a very small para. We go to the next one?
Yes.
So what Srimad is saying is, if you want to know where ignorance starts and knowledge is full, go up to the overmind level. That's what he's saying, in short. Okay? And how do we go? We have to learn in the ignorance. And how do you learn? Yoga. Okay? So I read the next para. We have then to scrutinize more closely than we have yet done the character and operation of this principle or this power of ignorance and arrive at a clearer conception of its nature and origin. I'll read the whole para first. And first, we must fix firmly in our minds what we mean by the word itself. What the word is, he has not yet referred to the word here, but what's the word? The separation. This separation, or you can use another word, Maya. Maya is the one that turns a light into it turns the one into the many, it turns the light into the darkness. It makes a form formless. It makes a formless form. Okay? So that's a word he's saying, we'll examine that word. The distinction between the knowledge and the ignorance begins with the hymns of the Rig Veda. Here, knowledge appears to signify a consciousness of the truth, the right, Satyam Ritam, and of all that is of the order of the truth and right. Ignorance is an unconsciousness, achitti, of the truth and right, an opposition to its workings and a creation of false or adverse workings. False is one thing, but adverse also is another. False is static, but adverse is active. It doesn't allow you to go. I am pointing out, see, those accuracy of words. Ignorance is the absence of the divine eye of perception, which gives us the sight of the supramental truth. Ignorance is the absence of the divine eye of perception, which gives us the sight of the supramental truth. It is the non-perceiving principle in our consciousness as opposed to the truth-perceiving conscious vision and knowledge. There is a footnote, I will read that later. In its actual operation, this non-perceiving is not an entire inconscience, the inconscient sea from which this world has arisen. Another footnote, we will see later. But either a limited or a false knowledge, a knowledge based on the division of undivided being, founded upon the fragmentary, the little, opposed to the opulent, vast and luminous completeness of things. Look at the language, opulent, full of richness and variety. Okay? It is a cognition which, by the opportunity of its limitations, is turned into falsehood and supported in that aspect by the sons of darkness and division. He is referring to the Gita, the Vedas. Okay? In that aspect, by the sons of darkness and division, enemies of the divine endeavor in man, the assailants, robbers, coverers of the light of knowledge. It is there, each word, there are Sanskrit words. He is using these from the Sanskrit Veda. Assailants, robbers, coverers of the light of truth. It was therefore regarded as an undivine Maya. Now he is using the word Maya. Another footnote, that which creates false mental forms and appearances, and hence the later significance of this word, which seems to have meant originally a formative power of knowledge, a true magic of the supreme mage, the divine magician, but was also used for the adverse formative power of the lower knowledge, the deceit, illusion and deluding magic of the Rakshasa. The divine Maya is the knowledge of the truth of things, its essence, law, operation, which the gods possess, and on which they found their own eternal action and creation, and their building of their powers in the human being. This idea of the Vedic mystics can, in a more metaphysical thought and language, be translated into the conception that the ignorance is in its origin a dividing mental knowledge which does not grasp the unity, essence, self-law of things in their one origin and in their universality, but works rather upon divided particulars, separate phenomena, partial relations, as if they were the truth we had to seize, or as if they could really be understood at all, without going back behind the division to the unity, behind the dispersion to the universality. The knowledge is that which tends towards unification and attaining to the supramental faculty, seizes the oneness, the essence, the self-law of existence, and views and deals with the multiplicity of things out of that light and plenitude, again plenitude, opulent, in some sort as does the divine himself from the highest height whence he embraces the world. It must be noted, however, that the ignorance in this conception of it is still a kind of knowledge, but because it is limited, it is open at any point to the intrusion of falsehood and error. It turns into a wrong conception of things which stands in opposition to the true knowledge. So he has defined here knowledge as seeing the truth and ignorance as incapacity to see the truth. Okay. What we have discussed is saying that only, but very interesting, we will see the words and what the echoes are behind what he is saying. Okay. Because he uses very terse language he uses. Now, so Srila is saying, you want to find out where knowledge is full and ignorance starts? We have then, the word then implies that. Okay. So you want to know, then do this. So use the word then very often in this sense. Let us see. Okay. As a result, we have then to scrutinize more closely than we have yet done the character and operation of this principle or this power of ignorance and arrive at a clearer conception of its nature and origin. Note the word power of ignorance. He is saying knowledge has got the power to diminish itself. We don't have that capacity. Neither we can diminish ourselves or grow with great difficulty. But if you want to go down also in consciousness, very difficult, not easy. We are stuck at our own level.
Fast and easy is the downward slope. Yes.
In a sense. Okay. So, and arrive at a clearer concept of the nature and origin. Nature and origin of what? The separation. So instead of using the word separation, you can use the word Maya. Or you can use the word differentiation. You can use the word multiplicity. Okay. The beginning of the multiplicity. Okay. So, and first, we must fix firmly in our minds what we mean by the word itself. Okay. So, the distinction between the knowledge and the ignorance begins with the hymns of the Rig Veda. In another place, he speaks about the overmind. He speaks about where there is no problem anymore, the supermental. Then he says, has the past spoken about this? And then he says, yes, it has been spoken about in the Vedas. Okay, so, Satyamritam. Satyamritam Brihat. Okay, so, the distinction between the knowledge and the ignorance begins with the hymns of the Rig Veda. Here, knowledge appears to signify a consciousness of the truth. He is not defining truth, but we have already done that when you see oneness. Okay. The right, Satyam Ritam. Here he is using only the word Satyam Ritam, but he also used the word Brihat, infinite, the infinite. and of all that is of the order of the truth and right. Okay. Ignorance he is defining as an unconsciousness, achitti. Chitti is consciousness, achitti is unconsciousness of the truth and right. An opposition to its workings and a creation of false or adverse workings. Now, this again comes back, creation and adverse workings. There are forces to stop you going up. Okay. Ignorance is the absence of the divine eye of perception which gives us the sight of the supermental truth. So, if you are seeing the supermental truth, you are in a knowledge. And a footnote here, there is a footnote, and that footnote is Apraketam Salilam. Apraketam, unconscious ocean. Unconscious. Apraketam, Salilam is water, the waters of the infinite. The ocean is dark, that's how it began from there. Yeah. In its actual operation, this non-perceiving is not an entire inconscience. Entire inconscience is the inconscience of material. Even matter is not totally inconscient. There is an inconscient below matter. So, he is saying it is not totally inconscious. The inconscient sea from which this world has arisen. That's our Apraketam Salilam. But either a limited or a false knowledge. Limited or false knowledge, that is ignorance. It's a beginning of knowledge. Knowledge is there, but beginning. A knowledge based on the division of undivided being. There you are. When you start seeing the division, you are in ignorance. When you start seeing the oneness of things, you are in knowledge. And that oneness you can start seeing even at the higher mind level. It's possible. In the higher mind level, you can even have a touch of the supermind. Touch, not realization, but touch. Okay. Division of the undivided being, founded upon the fragmentary, the little, opposed to the opulent, vast and luminous completeness of things. The language is beautiful. It's a cognition which, by the opportunity of its limitations, is turned into falsehood and supported in their aspect by the sons of darkness and division, enemies of the divine endeavor in man. All this is happening in man. He is fighting to go up. Okay. The universal evolution is different, and man's evolution is individual, and that is universal. But the universal evolution can take place now only with the help of man. Earlier it was without man, but that's why it was so slow and so labored. It took million years for life to come out of matter. Another maybe less than million maybe from to mind. Now it is going much faster because man is conscious. Okay.
Could you talk about the opportunity of its limitations?
Yes. So the sons of darkness are saying, limitation is there, let's make it even more limited. That's what he's hinting at. Okay, so opportunity, they are taking the opportunity to go even further down. Enemies of the divine endeavor in man, the assailants, robbers, coverers. Okay, he uses the words panis, vikra, okay, and coverers. Coverers is, I forget the word now, of his light of knowledge. It is therefore regarded as an undivine Maya. Now Maya, now he is defining Maya, okay, that which creates false mental forms and appearances, that is undivine Maya. And hence the later significance of this word, which seems to have meant originally a formative power of knowledge. Knowledge and oneness has got the power to form things, to manifest, and forming things out of the formless. That is Maya. Maya comes from the root ma, which means to measure. And when you are measuring, you are necessarily limiting. In another place, they use the word geometrize and arithmetize. So you are geometrizing things, giving forms. That is Maya. But when it comes down, falsehood comes in and you are creating so-called false forms. The physical world that you are seeing is all not real forms, but transient temporary forms, therefore unreal. Today it is there, tomorrow it won't be there. Okay? And hence the later significance of the word, which seemed to have meant originally a formative power of knowledge, the true magic of the supreme mage, the divine magician, but was also used for the adverse formative power of a lower knowledge, the deceit, illusion and deluding magic of the Rakshasa. It is very interesting, we will just briefly discuss it. The divine Maya is the knowledge of the truth of things, its essence, law, operation, which the gods possess, and on which they found their own eternal action and creation. Their building of the powers in the human being. This idea of the Vedic mystics can, in a more metaphysical thought and language, be translated into the conception that the ignorance is in its origin a dividing mental knowledge which does not grasp the unity, essence, self-law of things in their one origin and their one universality, but works rather upon divided particulars, separate phenomena, partial relations, as if they were the truth we had to seize, or as if they could really be understood at all without going back behind the division to the unity, behind the dispersion to the universality. He has spoken about magician and magic. Okay, we don't think of it that way, but it is really magic. How the hell does it happen? Okay, the most beautiful rose comes out of mud. The lotus comes out of mud. How will it do that? How can mud produce a lotus? Okay. How can the soil produce the sweetest fruits? Can you imagine that? You take mud and make it into a mango. He's a magician. Okay, he discussed this in the chapter, the indeterminates and the cosmic determinations. Hydrogen is there and oxygen is there. They are two gases. You combine them and you get something not gas but liquid. How did it happen? That's a magic. Okay, so the knowledge is that which tends towards unification and attaining to the supramental faculty, seizes the oneness, the essence, the self-law of existence, and views and deals with the multiplicity of things out of that light and plenitude in some sort as the divine himself from the highest height, whence he embraces the world. So, he is embracing the world. So, when you are at that level, the highest is true for you and the world also is true for you because you are embracing the world. But when you are here, you are embracing only ignorance and falsehood and delusion. Okay? Embrace the world. It must be noted, however, that the ignorance in this conception of it is still a kind of knowledge. Now, this is very interesting. He says knowledge and ignorance are not opposites. They are gradations of each other. Ignorance is knowledge which is limited itself. Weakness is a power that has the power to reduce itself. The knowledge has the power to reduce itself into ignorance. But because it is limited, it is open at any point to the intrusion of falsehood and error. It turns into a wrong conception of things which stands in opposition to the true knowledge. So that's, we have done 2 paras today. Okay? So now he is examining where that separation is coming between knowledge and ignorance, between truth and falsehood, between the one and the many. All are the same. One and many, knowledge and ignorance, truth and falsehood, essentially. Consciousness, unconsciousness. Power, total incapacity. Ananda, pain and suffering. Okay, we stop here today.
Thank you, Namaste all. See you next week.